Howdy, y'all. It is Cody from Keepers Nerdum. How you doing? It is time today to do something really simple. I thought, you know what? We've been on Disney pretty hard lately, and I thought, you know what? Let's actually go to do just something fun. Let's do a tier list of Disney cartoons. This does not include Disney Pixar. Okay, this is just Disney Animation Studios. Okay, so we're going to go through these and hit everyone that's on this list, and I'll give my thoughts on where they're at on a tier ranking and my thoughts on them. All right, let's go. Obviously, I'm going to have certain ones that I really like, and I think some of them are going to probably, if I asked my daughters, they would love the ones that are low on my list way up there because they enjoy the princess stuff a little more than I do. And that's the beauty of it. So let me know down in the comments below after you see my ratings and rankings where you would place these. So our first one is The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I'm going to have to be really honest. For the first thing on this list, I know I have seen it. But unfortunately, I'm going to put it in they haven't seen because it has been so long and I have just enough memory of it that it's not fair for me to put it anywhere because it just means very little to nothing to me at all. I know I've seen it as a young kid and never watched it again, not because it was bad or anything. I just don't remember it because it was one of those things we did never own. So I'm just going to put it in the haven't seen, even though I know I have years and years ago. So Cinderella, right? This movie is a fantastic film as far as downtrodden trying to change their life and good coming back to visit you for the good that you do. It's almost like a karma type concept, really, when you stop to think about this whole film. I think the older princess movies do suffer just from the fact that they are older, and it's not that it's a bad film. I actually really enjoy this. I was about to put it in C tier, and then I realized it has one of the most epic sidekick characters in the entire Disney franchise. In a way, to me, is Gus Gus, and Jacques is pretty awesome, but Gus Gus is chef's kiss, right? He's just the best part of the whole film. Um, there's a lot of characters in this film besides Cinderella. Like Cinderella herself is kind of a boring character. There's not a whole lot to her, but it's the characters around her that she helps that make her more interesting. It's kind of a fun random thing there. Alice in Wonderland. So the original cartoon here. What do you do with this? It's trippy, it's bizarre, it's interesting. It's just a weird crazy adventure, and then it spawned live actions. You know, I'm going to put it in C tier for now, not because it's bad. It's just kind of that middle of the ground to me that it's a good movie, it works, but it's not something that I go, man, I really want to watch Alice in Wonderland. Now, Peter Pan. Mm. And some of these older ones are hard because the newer movies, they're faster paced and they're just better in my thoughts, but it's also because that faster paced us at times, but these older ones really do hit in a pretty good way. I think honestly Peter Pan to me is B tier. Very interesting because it's very colorful. It's this idea of exploring growing up, and you've got Peter Pan, you've got Wendy, you've got these characters. Captain Hook is fantastic. The crocodile, Tinkerbell, just a very big ensemble cast that really just hits this concept. And honestly, it's a good film. It is. Lady and the Tramp, man. What's funny is I like this movie even today. Like I am impressed by this film all the time, and it's some of these I'm gonna have to adjust. I'm gonna put it in B tier for now because it's just a fun little romp through talking dogs. And let's be honest, the live action was not great, but the original Lady and Tramp was just a great film. Um, yeah, I think it's good. Sleeping Beauty. You know what? I'm just gonna be real honest here. I think this is not a great film because it's really, really slow. Like you can tell the original type of films, man, just they're just slow. Yeah. Anyway, 101 Dalmatians. Great film. I remember watching this a ton as a kid. I haven't watched it in a long time, but it really hit home because, again, talking dogs. That was the thing with Disney. A lot of talking dogs or cats, animals, those kind of things. And it works, right? They knew that they had something there. Really good film. Cruella de Vil, it's funny. She's just wanting to capture dogs and then use their skin or their fur, for her coats, which, in our modern day is like, oh my gosh, how dare you? But in that concept that I remember as a kid, it was like, okay, and even then, like, there were groups that were against all this stuff. But it was just funny how they took a character that shouldn't be really like epic evil and made her so scary and evil. Like, I remember her driving towards the end of the film, and it's terrifying as a little kid. The Sword and the Stone, you know, I think this is actually one of those films that in its initial it's not always the most interesting, but yet it's a journey of a young man growing up and learning that there's more to the world, more to life. And I think that is a really, really cool concept here. So I actually, in watching this, I'm going to put it for now for A tier, but I think to me, I really enjoyed this film because especially they're transforming into different animals and critters, and it's these weird scenarios that are bizarre but fascinating. And Arthur is growing up into this king that he'll someday be. Then Merlin's just nuts. Like, honestly, the best part of The Sword and the Stone is the fact that Merlin is literally insane, and his owl that talks through the whole film is just hilarious. Good stuff, right? Just fun, crazy stuff. The Jungle Book, man. Okay. So this reuses some stuff. I'd say it is a decent film, and I'm gonna put it up at the top of. Ah, oof, oof. Okay. Oh, I forgot about in Peter Pan. Smith, his first officer Smith or whatever. He was fun too. Jungle Book is really good. Mowgli's really fun. I love the birds they're supposed to be the Beatles. They're hilarious. Uh, it's a good film. It was one of those films as a kid that I loved to watch. But yeah, man, this is getting hard. Uh, yeah, that's my thoughts on the Jungle Book. It's just, again, a growing up story and trying to figure out where he belongs, and it's the real risks of what's actually in the jungle that could hurt you. Yeah. So the Aristocats, I remember it. There's cats, and they talk and they do stuff, but I don't remember the story being interesting or good. So I'm just gonna put it down at F tier. Actually, yeah, I think that's the first. Excuse me, F tier. So I don't remember anything of it. Uh, yeah, yeah, that's an F tier. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Yeah, okay, let's get really real. This movie is creepy. She's super young. It's from the time frame it makes sense, but today in modern day it's just bizarre. She stays with seven dwarfs in this case. I ugh. It's definitely better than the Aristocats. I don't know if it's F tier by any means, but Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs I think is just a D tier movie because it just doesn't work anymore. And even then, it did really well when it initially came out, but in modern day, meh. All right, Disney's Robin Hood. This movie, I've got to really make a choice here. It's either A or S tier for me personally. I grew up and we watched this all the time. This movie, it has a snake that literally crosses its arms while it's a snake, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The fact that they literally use same voice actor and basically same character for Baloo from the Jungle Book into Robin Hood as Little John, and you're telling the story of Robin Hood but with animals, and they're reusing animation from like Snow White and some other films, and yet it's so much fun because there's a seriousness there for the fact that it's a fox is playing Robin Hood, and it's so good. It's fun. Like, it was my childhood movie to go to watch and just have a blast. I'm gonna put it in S tier for now. We'll see. We'll kind of come back. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Watched a ton of this. It's, it's good. It's really good. Yeah, B tier for sure. That's all I'm gonna say because it was really good. Eeyore, Piglet, Tigger. It's just Rabbit. Yeah, Rabbit was just Rabbit, and Pooh, obviously. The Rescuers, creepy movie, very creepy. I will say it it's okay, but it's not great. And actually, I think it ends up in D tier because the original Rescuers to me is not that good. It's one of the few Disney films that actually has a sequel that's better than the original. Yeah, Fox and the Hound. You know what? This is a movie we watched a lot as kids, but when you go back and watch it, it is super slow. But the story is really good. Of enemies, friends, then enemies, then friends is the story, and it's a beautiful story. It's a very slow story. It to me, it's a C tier film. It's good, but it's lacking on some things. The Black Cauldron. Okay, this is one of the hardest films to put anywhere because because I like it a lot because it's super dark and creepy. I think it's not a great story film, but at the same time it's this spot in Disney's history that's bizarre and weird, and I think it's an important moment where it is a kids movie somehow, but it's dark, and it really just gave us a more fantasy setting than sometimes even these other fantasy films that we were watching. And so I'm gonna put it in B tier right here because it really it's one of those movies I never watched as a kid, and then watching it later on, you're like, this is so different, and I applaud Disney for trying different, and I like this film just because it is so different, and it's got a lot of the adventure stuff in it, and I think it works. Yeah, I'm adjusting things as I go here. Yeah, Great Mouse Detective. Yeah, so we're getting mice basically as Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Is that right? No, is that the doctor? I'm drawing a blank. I like this film a lot. Unfortunately, it's Basil of Baker Street or something. I think I'm gonna have to do some rearranging here. I think I like this movie. I really do. Yeah, it's an A tier movie to me. It's fun. If you haven't seen it, go sit down and watch it. It is super crazy and creepy, and the bad guy is just awesome because it's just taking the Sherlock Holmes mythos and it's animals. I think it's a lot of fun. Oliver and Company. I remember liking this as a kid, but I just never go back and go, man, I really want to watch Oliver and Company. I think it's a D tier movie at best. It's underneath The Rescuers, maybe above Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. Little Mermaid. You know what's funny? This is not my favorite film, but yet this is just a good film. It is an A tier film because Ursula is a great villain. Her motivations are fascinating. It's all power plays, and Ariel is a young girl that is distracted by love and adventure and excitement and collecting things from a world she can't ever be a part of, and it's cool. I just it just works, right? It works very well. It's a good story. It's a lot of fun. The singing is fantastic, right? When I turn on Disney song playlists, like Little Mermaid's on there. Yeah, The Rescuers Down Under. I think this takes the Rescuers concept to a whole nother level, and it makes it honestly a lot more fun. And to me, it's one of those films that I went back to and watched way more than The Rescuers. The Rescuers Down Under to me was so much better. It is an A tier film. It had the concept of The Rescuers and just perfected it, and it's one of the few sequels that really works way, way more than the original. Anyway, uh, Beauty and the Beast. Oh man. Uh, Again, I'm gonna go A tier, and this is where it gets hard because these are all really good. Beauty and the Beast just it just hits so well. You know, there's when you get down to like the nitty gritty of it, it's definitely got some issues, but I think it's a great film as far as good story, good concept, development of characters. Gaston is just such a wonderful villain because it's not that he's trying to be the villain; he's actually trying to see himself as the hero, and yet he's the villain. And I think that's what makes it so powerful and good. Pinocchio, this was my favorite movie growing up. And the more you watch it, it is creepy, it is weird, but yet it has got such a good message of watch out what you're doing. I'm going to go with B tier for that one. Yeah, we got to go B tier because Pinocchio, it's a darker film than the newer stuff, but I think that's important to the entirety of the concept that it's about the transformation of making right choices and how that impacts you as becoming a good boy, if you will. Aladdin. Okay, growing up, this was my one of my other jam movies, and I think this is an S tier film. It is fantastic. You have great characters. You have just the fact that Robin Williams is a genie just brings it over the top. It just changes the entire dynamic, and all of a sudden you have a film that is on a whole nother level. And the people that they had in this film were Jafar is a perfect villain. Yeah, S tier film. The Lion King. You know, I watch it. My kids watch it. I think at the very least it is an A tier film. It may not be my favorite film, but then there's Timon and Pumbaa. Yeah, Timon and Pumbaa. Yeah, and Rafiki. Yeah, yeah, it's S tier. Yep, yep, that's fair. All right, Pocahontas. Yeah, I liked this film growing up. I liked the little dog and the raccoon, and was the raccoon Miko? Can't remember. I think his name was Miko, and then the hummingbird. Man, I can't remember their names. Let me know down in the comments below. It's been a long time. I think it's a good film with a tough story that's deeper. It definitely delves into more of the spiritual stuff for like Native American Indian, which I have connection there of some part of me is Cherokee, but I don't know. It feels weird, but yet I appreciate that they did it because they should, in that it's a part of Native American Indian culture. So I appreciate that. So yeah, I think it's C tier. It's not one of those films that I want to go to, but it's there. Um, Funny thing, we just rewatched The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Every time it bothers me because that movie should it has no right to be as good as it is. And the funny thing is, Disney, especially in the 80s and especially the 90s, really figured out how to do villains that shouldn't be good into something amazing. And Frollo is the most creepy villain, and the song he sings at one point is so creepy. I would say, honestly, just because of Frollo and like the gargoyles, not even the main characters. The main characters are really good. Like the idea of the Hunchback is so good, but Frollo and the Gargoyles just make this movie for me an S tier film. Hercules. So funny thing, I wasn't allowed to like watch this growing up, and it's when I finally got to see it. I think we were actually broken down in a mechanic's shop. We were watching it with the mechanic's kid for the first time ever, and I was just enthralled because it is a trip down mythology lane, right? Uh, just fantastic stuff right here, and I love that. I think at the very least, it's the top of A tier for me. It's a great film. I think it's got some weird issues, and when you get into mythology, you know, it's not accurate to it. Like Zeus does not act like that in mythology, but I love the concept here, and I love that the fact that Hades literally goes, "Relax, relax, boys. It's only halftime," and it's actually literally halftime in the film. And then Philoctetes, played by Danny DeVito, goes two words, and what does he say? Uh, I am retired. That's it. And in Greek, that would be two words, which is hilarious. I appreciate those little things towards detail, right? These Greek mythology stuff is just it's fantastic. It's an A-tier film at least. Mulan, man, I'm gonna be really real with you guys and just get real honest. This is to me an S-tier film. It's right underneath Aladdin for me. Every time I watch it, it goes up and up and up because Mulan hits all the spots for me of detail, right? Mushu is fantastic. Is that Eddie Murphy? Yeah, Eddie Murphy nails it. Cricky's hilarious. The songs in this movie are on another level compared to most other Disney films, which just amazes me. The I'll make a man out of you, and then the Lucky song, whatever that song's called, what the grandma sings, and like Ancestors Hear My Plea song, and just almost every song in it hits just so fantastic. What's the name of the song that the guys sing? They've got a woman back home because they're marching out to war. Maybe that's the name of the song, and it's funny hearing their different like concepts of who they want to marry or they hope to meet someday, and it just it's a fascinating thing because it just hits home because these are more like personable songs that are telling a part of the story themselves as well. And I think it's just a fantastic thing. Yeah, S tier for sure, right underneath Aladdin for me. Tarzan. Oh, this one's hard. Tarzan's really tough because uh, Tarzan is a tough one. All right, give me just a second. We're gonna pause here. All right, we're back. We're back. We're good. Okay, so we are on Tarzan. Tarzan. What do I do with this one? Great film. New animation style. Phil Collins music, like, and it stood out. I would dare say, ironically, I think it is an S tier film because it's so different of a departure, and it's a great story. Different departure for the animation stuff, like a whole nother level in part, and it hits home, right? Uh, Fantasia, is that what this is? Yep, Fantasia 2000. I'm just gonna be honest. I think I've seen this, but I don't really care. So we're gonna go with that right there. All right. And Dinosaur, yep, that's an F tier. That's all I'm gonna say. Fantasia, it's just a lot of singing and music, and I don't care. It's just they were lame to me always. And Dinosaur, I remember watching it like one time, and that was about all I got to. All right, yeah. So Dinosaur just goes there. Emperor's New Groove. This might shock you all, but to me, it's also yeah, I think it's an S tier film. I love it. It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's pure nutty adventure. But the way it pauses itself and makes comments, and the bad guy Yzma is she's just perfect for it. She's not your typical villain. She's goofy and silly and ridiculous. Yeah. Another Fantasia, the original one. I'm gonna put it above the newer one just because it's the original, and that's all it gets. Yeah, Fantasia. Nope. All right. Atlantis. I know you guys are probably gonna be shocked, but to me, Atlantis is one of those underappreciated films that to me also hits S tier and is more interesting to me than Lion King. I love that film. It's almost science fiction in its concept, and I think that is fantastic. It is really good stuff. So we've got a great film there, right? Lilo and Stitch. Again, this is to me an S tier film. Lilo and Stitch, there's your sci-fi. So speaking my language, you've got your Elvis Presley music is a big focal point of this, and it's like such a serious story, but not at all. And Stitch is trying to find where he belongs in this world. I would dare say it's to me better than Lion King and Tarzan. It's so good. And Atlantis, another thing just to note, like why is Atlantis good to me is because Atlantis, you don't really know who the bad guy is for a long time, and I think that's important in it. So, Atlantis, there's not a clear like villain for a long time, and I think that's kind of interesting. And normally that wouldn't work, but that's what makes it fascinating. Is at first the movie is an adventure film, and then you realize there is a villain in this, and now we have to change our entire plan to address things. And yeah, just really good stuff. Treasure Planet. Okay. Treasure Planet. Treasure Planet is a great film. I'm gonna put it. It's an A tier. It is an A tier. I'm gonna put it up here. I like the concept. Yeah, I think it's right there with Sword and Stone, Great Mouse Detective. Really good. This is hard. How did Little Mermaid get so low? Ooh, this is getting tough. Okay, so let's keep going through. Brother Bear, I'm gonna put in the haven't seen because I have seen a little bit of it, but I haven't seen enough of it to judge. Home on the Range, same. Just I don't even know what that is. Huh. Chicken Little, I hate that movie. I do. I hate that movie. That's ugh. It just it just seems stupid, but it is at least clever. So it's better than Aristocats. So I'll put it in the bottom of D tier. Meet the Robinsons. I don't know that I could say that I've seen that really. Yeah, I'm just put it. Haven't seen. Whoa. Okay. Bolt. 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 All right. Wow. Wow. This is getting hard because we got a lot more, and I'm running out of space, as you can tell. Bolt is one of my favorite Disney films, and it's going up in S tier, but where? Because this idea of, okay, first you're like, oh, superpowered dog, and then you realize, nope, not a superpowered dog. In fact, it is a regular dog that's in a TV show, and it is fantastic. Yeah, it goes right next to Mulan because one big reason, actually, the story itself is really good and the main character is really good, but then Rhino the hamster is the best part because he believes in Bolt, even though Bolt's starting to realize he's not actually powered up. Yeah, it's fascinating. Princess and the Frog came up after my time, so it doesn't mean as much to me as some of the other films on here. I don't know that it's bad necessarily, but it's not one that I go, yep, that's really good. One of the newer films though that is really good to me is Tangled. Tangled is fantastic, and man, yeah, it's probably better than The Great Mouse Detective somehow, and it's just got good humor. Zachary Levi plays our main, guy character, and then I don't know who voices Rapunzel, but she is fantastic. And the I Have a Dream song in the middle of the film. Just the extra characters are really good. We have several more here. Okay, man, there's some good ones here. Dumbo. Um, like this a lot as a kid. I think it's better than Cinderella, but I don't know. Is it though? No, because it doesn't have a strong story. I don't know. It's just a flying elephant with pink elephants on parade. Pink elephants make it better than Pocahontas. We'll go there. Winnie the Pooh, so we'll put it at B tier because it's Winnie the Pooh and it is good. I watched them. All this stuff was good, so we'll just keep them right there. Wreck-It Ralph. Man, okay, that was a great film too. Whew, these are getting tough. Very tough. Wreck-It Ralph. Let's see. Yeah, we're having to move back and forth now. There's so many movies here. Wreck-It Ralph. I like this movie a lot. It's so good because it's just video game history, and then it's playing off of that and giving us basically video game stuff, but on a whole nother scale. Man, I think it is an S tier film because the villain is fascinating too. Oof. Yeah, I think it's right there. Whoa, man, this is getting hard. Frozen. I'm gonna give it A tier. It is a good film in the sense that it is a good story. As much as I don't actually like that movie, just because my kids watch it so much, I'll at least put it A tier because it is a good film. I will give it that. It just I got so old watching it. And that's the problem. Like, it wasn't that it was a bad film. It was just that I watched it too much, and now I don't care about it. but it's good animation. There's a good story here. There's tragedy. Yeah, Big Hero 6. This movie needs more attention. It really does, and I think it is on my. It's an S tier film for me as well. Big Hero 6 or Bolt. Baymax is fantastic. All of the superheroes are fantastic. The villain is fantastic. The motivation is fantastic. Like everything about that film, it works. It works so well. Man, yeah. I think Bolt. I don't know. They're basically tied right there. They really are. All right, Zootopia. This might shock you. No. Story concept was good, but it has just some weird woke politics in it for no good reason that just it feels like it ruins the story and makes the focus on things that it just didn't need to be so blatant, and it just kills it for me. I'm putting it a D tier because it to a kid they find it fascinatingly interesting because it's colorful and happy, but it's not a good film when you really pay attention to it. Moana. You know what? Moana is a great movie. It's got some issues though, so I'm gonna put it right next to Hercules. It's almost S tier, but I love it. The Rock is good. I don't know who voices Moana. She's really good too. Just the chicken is hilarious. Hey hey, good stuff here, right? Ralph Breaks the Internet. I don't remember this one as much. It was still fun. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A tier. I just don't remember it very much like Wreck-It Ralph I do. So it was still good and Ralph was still fascinating, but not anywhere near. You know what? Top of B tier then if I can't remember it. Frozen 2. Yep, C tier. It's an average film at best. They just wanted you to go, look, you remember these? You remember this? Well, remember it more. Remember it more. That yeah. Raya and the Last Dragon. You know what? I'm gonna say this actually is better than. Oh dang. This is yeah. I really liked Raya and the Last Dragon. Really good movie. Just again, connection, trying to trust one another. So it's a powerful message. I think it's good. It's a really good film, and my kids watch it still, and I appreciate that. Encanto. You know what? D tier. Here's why. They resolved that movie and everything's quote unquote okay. It's not okay. Nothing about Encanto at the end of that film is okay. The grandma or the mom to some of them, right, is not just going to make sure everything's fine again. It's not. It is not okay. It's bad. It is seriously bad. I just think that that film is dumb and the logic doesn't hold up. The story concept is really good, but it's never really clear. Does the main girl actually have powers? And I think she probably actually does because she communicates with the house unlike a lot of other people. But I don't know. I just don't think it's a good film actually, and it does not actually leave on a good concluding note. So that's my 2 cents about that one. Bambi. This is for its time a really good film. I watched it a ton. I'd say it's the bottom of A tier. It's B tier. It's good. It is good. It's just not as good as some of these other things. Man, okay. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, B tier. It's not this bad. Don't remember this, so I'll put it in haven't seen. The Three Caballeros. I remember this, but I'm just gonna put it haven't seen because it's been so long. Fun and Fancy Free. That's Jack and the Beanstalk stuff. Man, these are things that I saw as a kid and moved on. And like Melody Time, I remember something, but I just can't. I can't. I'm just gonna have to put them in the haven't seen because it's been so long, and this right here, Make Mine Music, don't know. I don't remember it enough to go, yep, I'm gonna put that somewhere. So these are my rankings for the Disney films, and so apparently these little ones over down here are films too, but I don't remember being that long. I remember them being like shorts on a DVD for like you'd rent at Blockbuster. So I don't know what do you think about my ratings? Are you in the same boat? Are you like, how dare you put Pocahontas down here or the Princess and the Frog, and you have them up at S tier? Do you agree with my ratings? This is the thing, it's totally up to each person, but I thought it would be a fun thing that there are Disney films that I absolutely adore and I love and would go back and watch repeatedly, and those S tier films are the films that I go back and watch, and the A tier films I will go back and watch, except for Frozen, because I don't like Frozen itself, but it is a good movie, right? uh, the other ones, you might catch me watching a B tier film occasionally, maybe, but C and below, I just don't care. And like Encanto and Zootopia, I do not want to ever watch those again. I'm not a fan. Yeah, and then the F tiers are interesting because there's only one of them that I just go, it's on here because I just don't remember it, and I know I've watched it many times, and I just don't care about it because I've watched it many times and it means nothing. I know I've watched Dinosaur and it means nothing. And these Fantasias, they're on there because I have watched them and I remember them and going, why am I watching this? Because they're so boring. Why haven't we had a Mickey movie in a long time? I don't know. So there are my rankings for the Disney films. This doesn't include the Disney Pixar's. We'll do those in another list. I've been Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of my list as well. I've been Cody. Take care, y'all. Have a good day. Bye, y'all.